What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of NFL Prop Shop. I'm Katie, this is Dani, and we're here to give you our favorite NFL prop bets of the week. Of course, it's American Thanksgiving this week, so today we'll be focusing on the 3 Thursday games of Week 12. First, let's recap last week's bets, and like many of us, could not have been more wrong about the Chiefs and Cowboys going to a shootout. But Dani, we did hit the under on Tyler Lockett receiving yards, so it's not all bad.
That's right. You did call it. Russell did struggle again, so nothing was working for the Seahawks yet again. So you did hit on that one. Congrats to that. But you know what? That was unfortunately the only one we hit on last week. For mine, I took Cam Newton as the first touchdown scorer. He was anytime touchdown scorer, so just missed on that one. Tannehill didn't score a touchdown, and the Titans really struggled. And Joe Burrow didn't score two passing touchdowns. He just threw for one, so he let me down as well.
We can only go up from here, Dani.
That's right. Things are looking up for Thanksgiving.
Okay, if you want to lead into the first game.
All right, so that takes us to the first game of our Thanksgiving weekend. And well, this one, it's going to be a bit of a slow burn. We're going to pace ourselves this Thanksgiving Thursday and start with the Bears versus Lions. So this is the second time these divisional rivals will face off this season. In week 4, the Bears won 24-14, and that was with Justin Fields starting. In this game, it looks like Andy Dalton's been named the starter because Fields is hurt. He got hurt last game, and with the quick turnaround this week, he wasn't able to get ready. So it looks like it'll be Andy Dalton versus Jared Goff, who's still questionable coming back from an injury, but Dan Campbell did say he's leaning in the direction of starting him. So for this one, I'm going to take the under total points. So that'll be under 41.5 points because these two teams can't get any offense going. They are both absolutely terrible. The Chicago Bears are actually 29th in total points, averaging 16.3, and the Lions are 30th, averaging 16. So I don't even think they're going to hit 40 points combined.
I'm totally with you. Justin Fields leaving the game, Dani. That's what we were worried about heading into the season behind that O-line. We saw it with Burrow last year, obviously different injury situation, but you worry about these rookies coming in and getting hurt right away. But yeah, the Matt Nagy offense isn't necessarily inspiring me right now. I think I'm pretty done with that experience. When you have people chanting at a different sporting event, fire Nagy for basketball, I'm sorry. My Lions bet for this game, I'm with you. I'm totally smashing the under for total points in that one. This might seem a bit contradictory, but I'm taking the DeAndre Swift over 64.5 yards at minus 115. So as you mentioned, Dani, Jared Goff, we're not sure if he's going to be starting in this game or not. That doesn't really affect this bet for me just because I'm not the biggest Jared Goff fan in general, and I don't think that he'll impact the offense that much. DeAndre Swift was dealing with a nagging groin injury for a lot of the season, and coming out of their bye week in week 9, he finally looks healthy. So his last 2 games, he put up 130 yards, 136 respectively, and before their bye week, he was averaging 36 yards per game through 8 weeks. So he's become one of the lone bright spots. It's not challenging for Detroit, but one of the lone bright spots for me. And their run game in general has been impressing me lately. It looks like they're getting good blocking. So I like Swift in this one, and I especially like Swift against that Chicago defense. So Chicago's defense is 24th in rushing yards, and just a huge blow to them. Khalil Mack out for the season, undergoing foot surgery. So the only bright spot I have in this one, like I said, Dani, DeAndre Swift to run all over the Bears, but other than that, don't love the points in this one. So our next game, we're going to go to the Las Vegas Raiders and the Dallas Cowboys. So in this one, Dani, I'm looking at that Derek Carr over 0.5 interceptions at minus 145. I'm taking that. So Derek Carr has not looked great. He has 7 games with 2 interceptions, and their offense in general just isn't as dynamic as they need it to be. Obviously, they've dealt with a lot of adversity with the John Gruden situation, and then you add losing Henry Ruggs, one of your top receivers, to that. But they just don't have the same energy, the same creativity. And I like that they've started to get Darren Waller a bit more involved, but overall, I still just don't have a lot of faith in that offense. And then especially going up against this Cowboys defense, Cowboys defense is second in the league with 15 interceptions, only behind the Bills, but they have 3 pick sixes. And Dani, there's one guy I'm looking at particularly, and it's Trevon Diggs. I mean, he has been sensational for anyone that watched Hard Knocks. Him and most notably his son were the absolute stars of it. Interception in 8 out of 10 games. And that's just Trevon Diggs. Like going into the Cowboys season, we were saying, okay, they've got so much on offense, but what are we going to see from defense? Trayvon's been so impressive. And then you start looking at guys like Micah Parsons, who can play anywhere on defense, basically, and just change the landscape of the whole game. So what are you looking at in this one with the Cowboys and Raiders?
All right, so for this one, I'm going to take Tony Pollard over 39.5 rushing yards. Last week, with Zeke aggravating his knee injury, Tony Pollard was the leading rusher for the Cowboys. In the previous 2 weeks, he had 50 yards on 7 carries versus the Chiefs, and he had 42 yards on 11 carries versus the Falcons. So I just expect him to have increased carries with Zeke hurt and just continue to increase his yardage. And I believe the Raiders defense won't be able to stop him. They're 29th and they're allowing 132.1 rushing yards per game. So look for the Cowboys offensive line as well to have a rebound game from last week when the Chiefs kind of took advantage of them at times.
They got smashed by their defensive line. Hey, that one really, really surprised me. And then, yeah, Dani, I like Tony Pollard this week because without Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, it looks like he's out for this game. Zeke is limited. There's a lot of reasons why Tony Pollard can kind of go off in this game. I'm excited to see it.
All right, and this takes us to our nightcap of the Thanksgiving weekend. It's a matchup featuring potential playoff implications for both conferences. The Bills are second in the AFC East, just half a game back of the Patriots, and the Saints are second in the NFC South and are currently tied in record with Minnesota and San Francisco. And that's for the last possible wild card playoff spots. They also both rank 7th in their conference standings. So if the playoffs started today, they would be the very last 2 teams in. So hopefully this game will be a good game for us after the other 2 aren't the best matchups. So I'm going to keep the Diggs trend rolling and take Stefon Diggs to have an anytime touchdown. He's red hot right now. He's had 6 touchdowns this season and 5 have come in the last 5 games. He has 60 receptions and only 1 drop for 773 yards. The Bills are riding a streak of 20 games with at least 300 yards, which is the longest active streak in the NFL. So expect Josh Allen to air it out as the Saints defense is 3rd in rushing yards.
The Bills offense is so curious to me right now because I'm starting to lose a little bit of faith in the offense as a whole. But then when I look at Josh Allen to Stefon Diggs, it's almost this perfect little area of it that is a bit untouchable for me this season. I just have so much faith in those 2 getting it done. Not too sure about around them, but I'm still pretty high on Josh Allen to Stefon Diggs. Okay, other side of the ball. For the Saints on offense, I'm looking at the under passing yards for Trevor Siemian this week. So the Saints are 26th in the league in passing yards. And without Jameis, I was just so devastated to see him go down. And with no Jameis, with no Michael Thomas, when I think Trevor Siemian, Marquez Callaway, Traquan Smith, it's not super inspiring to their passing game. Last week, Dani, Trevor Siemian was 22 for 40 for only 214 yards in the game. Keep in mind, that's against the Eagles, who are 12th in passing yards and 11th in total yards, so not terrible. This week, they're going up against that Bills defense. So Bills defense is 2nd in passing yards, 1st in total yards. I like the Saints as a system. I have a lot of trust in Sean Payton, but there's only so much you can do when so many of your players are missing. And the Saints, I'll give them credit. They've really rallied late in games and they're keeping in them. I'm not saying that the Saints aren't going to be a part of this game. I just don't know if Trevor Siemian airing it out is how they will be winning this, especially we don't know if Kamara is going to be in yet. So we'll keep an eye on that. But I do like the Bills in this one. What do you think against the spread?
Ooh, against the spread for this one, I'm going to take the Saints. I think that it's going to be a close game with the potential playoff implications. Both teams are going to be pretty desperate. So I think the Bills are still going to win, but the Saints are going to cover the spread.
So to recap our props today, my first bet is DeAndre Swift over yards, Derek Carr over 0.5 interceptions, and Trevor Siemian under passing yards. And yours, Dani?
Yeah, so in the first game, we're taking the under total points at under 41.5. We're taking Tony Pollard to rush for over 39.5 yards, and we're taking a Stefon Diggs anytime touchdown.
Well, that's it for us this week for NFL props bets with Dani and Katie. Let us know in the comments any bets you're taking, any bets you like, if you agree, if you disagree, and in the coming weeks, if there's anything else you would like to see us bet on. So keep us updated. Let us know. Thanks for tuning in.